Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Review. Once again this week, I'm Brian Carrazza from the Daily News.
I'm Randy Detour from the Tribune Review.
With us as always, to our right, that's Tom Combetti. To our left, that's Jim Hardy DeBruzzo. And we're all here to mourn the loss of Jeff Hardy's career. If we can all have a moment of silence.
Time's up.
Yeah. Bob Ryder's at home, pounding the floor, crying.
He still has a job?
Ceiling is back. Well, he still works for OneWrestling.com.
It's amazing. WCW's not in existence right now, and Bob Ryder's still trying to kiss their ass. It's quite remarkable.
Well, quite obviously from the opening of this show, we're going to talk a little bit about the Jeff Hardy situation and his, his push. I think we can call it a push.
And the rub. Don't forget the rub.
Oh, God. You're going to bring up... All right, I'm not going to bring up Ryder again. We'll talk about this off camera. But anyway, yeah, Jeff Hardy winning the Intercontinental title last week on SmackDown from Triple H and losing it Monday night back to Triple H on Raw. Of course, the internet world's now in a panic, saying that, well, you know, Jeff Hardy's been forgotten, or he's going to be released next week, and all this kind of stuff. So I'd stop the bleeding.
That's one of the natural tendencies when you see somebody like Jeff Hardy win the Intercontinental title. He's just one of those guys that everybody touts as being a superstar. He finally gets his hands on some singles gold, and then he loses it, which, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it wasn't that big of a deal that he lost it. I mean, if you watch Sunday Night Heat, and most of you probably don't, you could tell by Triple H's interview that was going to happen. It was a foregone conclusion. So I think it's just a tendency of people because they want to rally behind Jeff Hardy. They want to see him get a big singles push. They want to see him hold on to a singles title. And this is the general backlash that you get.
Well,
April 29th.
Yeah, no pun.
Sorry.
According to our stock report. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing you got to look at. You can't look at the title win. You can't look at the title loss individually. You got to look at the Raw the previous week, the tag team match, the title win, and the title loss all as a package for Jeff Hardy. You can't say, oh, he lost the title, that's it. He also won the title, and they also got a win. I mean, yeah, Lita got the pin, but Hardy Boys over Austin and Triple H. I mean,
make sure you boys.
Sorry.
Like you're trying to swat a fly.
Well, I mean, much like the internet people, I believe Jeff Hardy is dead. Well, not really. I'm being facetious once again. I was waiting for a Matt Hardy heel turn last night. I thought I saw it coming. It was in his eye. I didn't see it. Brian, I didn't see it.
He went
only in one eye?
Himself.
Tom was swerved.
Yeah. But really, I mean, if you know, as I mentioned before, the panic on the internet, everybody's saying, well, that's it. You know, the push is over. They got killed. And they did. I mean, they did get beaten down pretty good after Raw was over. But I don't understand the overreaction from some people about this. The same thing happened last week on Raw. They got beaten down last week, and what's the big deal? I mean, they got to play with the big boys.
Who says they're out of that position?
They're not. I mean, well, let's also bring this up. Jeff Hardy's 23 years old. Matt Hardy's 26. We don't need to exactly have these guys main eventing Backlash. Their career's not going to end. Clearly, these guys are at the beginning of their singles push. And, you know, pushing Jeff Hardy to the Intercontinental title was a pretty bold move, one that I don't necessarily think they had to make. But, you know, it's not a big deal that he lost the belt. And it's not a big deal that those guys are going to be, after playing, you know, with Triple H and Steve Austin last week, are going to be brought down a level. They need to be because they're not ready for this level yet.
Well,
Well, I was going to say, the thing is, it's not all lost, depending on what they do from the Hardy Boys, Jeff Hardy and Matt, from here on out. We talked about this on the way down today. If you have him in a feud with Kane or Molly Holly from here on out, yeah, they did kill basically Jeff Hardy. It's time to break the Hardy Boys up, and like you were saying, Brian, no, they're not ready for a main event spot, but they do need to be broken up.
I agree with you.
I agree with Tom in the fact that, you know, the Hardy Boys are at a time when they need to be broken up. I think you saw that, you know, for the last couple of weeks, but it's also one of those things, too, when you look at Jeff Hardy and you look at Triple H and you look at Matt Hardy, you look at Steve Austin. You know, Matt Hardy took out Steve Austin last night. Did you ever think ever you would see that?
Right.
No. So that, to me, is a boost for the Hardy Boys. Jeff Hardy's in the same ring with Triple H.
Right.
To me, Triple H, and I mentioned this last week in my column, it'd be very easy for him to pull rank and say, you know, nah, no thanks. You know, pull a Luger or, you know, a Hogan and say, no, I don't want to have anything to do with him. He's not on my level yet. But he didn't. He went in there. He made, you know, you can make a case for the fact that Triple H beat down Jeff Hardy, but what did you think was going to happen?
Right.
Triple H is at a level. He is the best heel that the wrestling business has seen since Ric Flair in his heyday. What did you think was going to happen?
Right.
From a storyline perspective, it makes more sense for Jeff Hardy to get beat down and then come back to have the people rally behind him than for him to, what did you think he was going to go? Did people out there actually think he was going to go in there and hit 50 high spots on him and pin him in 30 seconds?
And what
Be
would the
realistic.
point of that been? You know, going and having 8 minutes of offense against Triple H would have been.
It doesn't make any sense.
Now, the internet fans would have popped like mad for it, but it's like these are the same people who are always screaming that there's no logic in wrestling. There's no logic in that. I mean, I think Jeff Hardy probably could have gotten a little bit more, I shouldn't say offense, but I think they could have booked him a little bit more as having a chance to beat Triple H. I don't think they ever had in that match anytime Monday night inserted the idea into anybody's heads that Jeff Hardy had a chance. That's the only problem I had with the match. But, it made perfect sense for Triple H, to pretty much take care of him for the entire 11-minute match. Jeff Hardy gets his quick comeback at the end, and that's that.
Well, don't forget this, too. It wasn't just a quick comeback at the end. It was comebacks throughout the entire 11 minutes. He got those little spurts of offense in. But you know what? Go back and watch Shawn Michaels when he first started, and he would wrestle as a rocker. Did you ever see him when he was in one half of the Rockers go in there against somebody who's an established main eventer and, he dominates for 20 minutes? It never happened.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
2 points I want to bring up. Go ahead, Tom. You probably have the
Well, this will take really, really fast. Why would you want to see Shawn Michaels and Sergeant Slaughter back in the heyday of the WWE?
But that's not my point. I don't want to see it.
The point I'm trying to bring up is back in the WWF, this isn't even really relevant, but I want to say it anyway. You didn't see mid-card, lower mid-card guys feud with the main eventers, and by main eventers, I mean the Ultimate Warrior. When would you ever see a Marty Jannetty and an Ultimate Warrior wrestle? Who the hell would want to, anyway?
That match would have been magical.
To touch on that point, though, WrestleMania 5, and I know some people out there might not remember it, but the Rockers went up against the Twin Towers, and at the time, Bossman and, Akeem, the Boss Man was kind of on his way to be feuding with Hulk Hogan. Yeah. They squashed the Rockers, a team that was very talented. Yeah. And, you can draw to that and say, Austin and Triple H could have squashed the Hardy Boys 2 weeks ago on Raw. They didn't. Like we said last week, they bumped crazy for him. Yeah. So,
There's 2 points I want to make. You talk about Triple H kind of, I don't want to say dominating the match, but you also got to look at it this way. You're looking at Triple H going into this match that, he's finally taking this match more serious than what he did Thursday. I think to some degree that kind of, I don't want to say builds Triple H, but gets him back to where he was the previous week. Now at the end of the match, a lot of people are having a sticking point. Well, the Hardys got beat down. Yeah, they're faces. Triple H and them are heels. Right. That's what happens in wrestling, folks.
Yeah, even Captain Lou Albano knows that's how it's supposed to be. I mean, let's be serious.
And let's face it also, I mean, and I know this is a sticking point for some people out there too, is a lot of what was set up last night was to introduce the introduction of Kane and the Undertaker into that story. And what more logical way to do it than have the two baby faces who all the fans are behind getting killed, and having these two guys come out and finally try to put a stop to what the bullies in a sense are doing to the Hardy Boys. And I think the way they booked it, and like I said, I mean, you can argue whether or not you want to see Kane and the Undertaker in the main event Raw or not. They built that main event for Backlash perfectly Monday night, and I think this is exactly what it was designed to do, and it did a good job. And the Hardys aren't done. I mean, God.
It's just, like I said, it's just typical overreaction by people on the internet. So, you're never going to get rid of it.
There's nothing else to talk about right now. What else are they going to talk about? Yeah. What else are we going to talk about? And with that segue.
We're going to come back. We got a little bit more to talk about with the WWF, so please return.
We all agree that it didn't really hurt him much. In retrospect, I know Brian brought up the point in your column last week, you have to see this through now. Maybe in retrospect, maybe it's one of those things where you think it's better that Jeff Hardy would have got the win in a non-title match as opposed to holding the title for 4 days? I mean, you think...
He's addressing you.
Anybody?
All eyes on me. No, I don't think it's a... Well, actually, I don't think it's a big deal that it was a title win. I think that Jeff Hardy pinning Triple H in a title situation means a little bit more than him just getting a win just for a win's sake. Because I just think that's so overdone that I don't even know it has an impact anymore, that people wouldn't look back on that. I think people would forget that, Jeff Hardy pinned Triple H once, but now people can think back and say...
He still won the title.
Yeah, he was
I can see that. It's just one of those things, I think, Brian, you guys will disagree with us a little bit. The random title changes, I'm not really for. Let's take it a step further. How about you go back to...
like Paul Heyman.
Yeah, him too. But how about you go back a step further and say, well, maybe Hardy gets the pin over Triple H in the 6-man match on Raw, and then the non-title win, and then Triple H realizes, I have to take this guy seriously, and you have what you did Monday.
Well, him winning the title did 2 things for me, besides put me to sleep. Well, I predicted it before it happened anyway. I knew it was going to happen. Me and Paul Heyman are like this.
You're all knowing, Tom. That's
exactly. One, I got to see Jeff Hardy with the belt and the graphic before Raw aired, during the commercials.
WWF.com.
And also, it gave the impression that anything can happen, and I think you mentioned that on your website or somewhere. Sorry, Brian, I don't know where. But anything can happen in WWF, which has been lacking in recent months because of The Rock.
To go back to what Brian said, though, about having a title win seem more important, remember last summer when Chris Jericho was feuding with Triple H, and he didn't actually win. I mean, we'll have to call Bill Apter on this one because I don't really know, but he had the title, he beat Triple H, he had the world title around his waist. To me, I still remember that. So that way, when Triple H and Chris Jericho were in a ring together again, I still go back to that moment that saw Chris Jericho beat Triple H for the world title. So to me, like you said, title wins mean more than just non-title wins.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. That's exactly it. And I think that's maybe where the difference is. You know, if this is the beginning of Jeff Hardy's single push, I think, you know, maybe a year from now or whatever, you know, if he's in the midst of something, people can draw back on it and say, God, you know, he was an Intercontinental Champ for a couple of days. He did pin Triple H. So maybe that's just where the benefit comes in.
One of those situations down the road, I think, obviously, he will get another Intercontinental title reign. Or maybe, I don't know if they're going to go the European route with him. I don't see why they would do that now. But
the thing is now with Jeff Hardy, I mean, he's had a taste of wrestling against someone like Triple H, the caliber of Triple H. So now if the WWF pulls him back, and not to the extent that Tom said about, you know, feuding with Kane, which could be a distinct possibility, knowing the WWF and their...
Or Mae Young and Moolah, you know.
Yeah, so, but it's one of those things now, if you pull him back just a little bit, and then when you push him, or decide to push him again, and he does wrestle someone like Triple H, it won't seem out of place.
Yeah.
you still have a chance to develop singles careers for both of them, which you haven't really touched on all that much. I mean, if they split, if they just, you know,
The
remain
split has
friends.
to happen. I think we can all agree on that.
I just have this ominous feeling that I'm going to see Jeff Hardy and Steve Blackman on Jack, and you know who's going to win.
I hope, man.
You know, let me take this a little further. If I can go into business for myself, for using that line twice in one show, I think what I would like to see, and I think we saw some of this built Monday. I think we're starting to see Raven get pushed toward Eddie Guerrero in the European title. I think what would be a good idea is to take Jeff Hardy and feud him with the winner of. I assume they're going to fight at Backlash. Fight the winner of that match, because I think you can benefit from either guy. You know, Eddie Guerrero, I think he can learn a little bit more about what to do inside the ring, learn a little bit more about, you know, the mat skills. But if you have Raven win the European title and you have Jeff Hardy and Raven feud, now, I mean, this is also going to take the WWF actually giving Raven some significant television time. But Raven's one of those guys that can teach Jeff Hardy how to go about telling a story. And I said in my column last week that Triple H can also help him do that too. But I think Raven's one of those guys who's so good at psychology and who's so good at, you know, just pretty much the general storytelling of a match, that's someone Jeff Hardy can learn an immense amount of information from.
Another thing he can learn from is, of course, it would entail giving both these guys a lot of time, mic skills. And Raven does a great job on the mic. You know, that's one of the things. Obviously, Jeff Hardy can watch Raven tapes on the mic, but you know, maybe if he's involved with Raven there, Raven can say, okay, maybe you can go out and say this. I'll say this, and then you can say this.
Yeah.
I'll say
There's
this:
a lot of good.
Jeff Hardy's not the best on the mic, but he's kind of like falls in the same category as a Scott Steiner, where his mic skills are so different than everybody else's that it kind of sticks out. You know, Sliner. Yeah. It's been a while. Anyway, Steiner, he has that slow, methodical type interview, which people like, and Jeff Hardy kind of has that innocence to him when he gives an interview. So it's just one of those things. You know what I mean, though. He has the accent.
Never put that way
He's being
before.
a kid.
Exactly. Thanks. But anyway.
You know, I think it's just one of the things. It's the same thing I've been saying about the Hardys all along. I mean, I know we disagree. Maybe I just think his mic skills aren't developed to any degree that you can tell.
Well, not developed, but I mean, it's not like the the innocence can't hold him back.
He hasn't had anything to talk about up till now. What the hell is he going to talk about?
That's
Shaving?
exactly right. They haven't put him in a position
What
to
he like to
started
travel with
shaving,
Gangrel. There's something.
I just can't get over the fact he's 23 years old, and I don't want to date myself here, but I'm a year younger than he is. You know, that is dating yourself.
Well, that would make you then. You have to give me a minute.
Yeah, I agree. I think
It's a fourth trivia question.
I think you may have said this, Rennie, last week, that Jeff Hardy comes across as more natural. Not meaning a natural promo cutter, but just speaking in his natural tone. You would imagine.
Yeah, it doesn't seem forced. I mean, it's just.
And if you would talk to Jeff Hardy on a personal level, you imagine that what you see on TV is what you would get.
Yeah, I mean,
backstage.
I think that there's nothing wrong with having a different mic skills. Not everybody has to be Triple H. Not everybody has to be Steve Austin. I mean, Scott Steiner, obviously, he's a main eventer in whatever league he's competing in. And
WLW.
But, you know, and Steiner was different. People said he was rough around the edges, but he's become one of the guys that you like to hear talk only because he might drop the F-bomb.
Yeah, that's right.
Or attack a fan.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean, though. He's different, but different isn't always bad.
Or attack Terry Taylor.
That I want to see on
Just
pay-per-view.
to wrap us up saying, I can talk.
We were ripping Tom off.
Oh, I'm sorry. But no, I mean, it's important to know these guys are 23.
Keeps going.
Yeah, I rip on him anytime. 23 and 26. I mean, let's bring up the point again. These guys aren't finished. I know a lot of people on the internet saying, well, Undertaker and Kane stole everything because they came down. And we'll talk about more about that next segment, but everybody relax.
Well, not to date myself, but I'm Matt Hardy's age, but go ahead. So now I don't feel so old anymore.
I wanted to bring up a point before we left this, before
ahead.
we ran out, but we don't have any time left.
No, go ahead. You
Okay.
finish, and then you can send us
That
out.
sounds stupid now. It seems
Well, our
forced.
producer's
Unlike the Jeff Hardy
saying
interview.
no, you don't have time.
Well, I'll bring it up next
You
segment.
got 10 seconds. Okay, that's it.
Wait, I'm getting this bulletin here. It's only 5, Brian.
Here, have a memo.
6.
All right, well, we're going to come back with Tom Combetti's comments, and I don't know what we're going to talk
That's a
about.
good tease, though, you know, because you don't know what he's going to say.
Tom will
I
say
might not even be here.
Tom will say something next. Thanks.
Well, after much deliberation during the segment, we couldn't come up with anything, so we'll see you next segment. What, are we still on?
Yeah,
Apparently.
they want us to keep going.
But in all seriousness, I'm not really getting a bulletin this time because we have it written down. I think we're going to talk about Raw. It's right there.
God, can we talk about something other than the WWF? That's all we
could,
talk about
no.
on this show.
While wrestling stands for Women of Wrestling, Lee Marshall is a commentator and he's drunk half the time.
Oh, God, he's the worst.
Who's the owner of that WOW organization? Isn't
we
he some guy that knows
Dee
what?
Snyder.
Twisted
No,
Sister.
I'm kidding. It's Kevin DuBrow.
It's sad he knows that.
No, it's not. Kevin DuBrow's from Quiet Riot. But that's sad I know that. Alan, what the hell? Let's talk about Raw.
Yeah.
Wonder why
It's
Bethel
on
Park
from
pulled
9
our
to
show.
11 on TNN.
Yeah.
And their ratings are up 134%, which is impossible to go over 100, which I was told. But
Please, Ric Flair, start a promotion. We beg you. We've got nothing.
And make sure you hire Lex Luger so we have something to
TNN
laugh
goes
at.
out
I'll settle
and gets
for
the
anybody
Wonder
starting a
Years.
promotion right now.
They go out and get the Wonder Years taxi. What about Mr. Belvedere?
I don't know.
I just want to hear him say Wesley one more time and I'll be content.
Wesley.
Did that show end? Did that show end by him getting deported or something?
I don't think they had a final episode.
He got beat.
No,
He fell asleep
he
on their
bought
couch.
Wesley a dog and then he deported him because he cheated on a test and then he came back.
Deported the
on
dog?
one snowy day. Yeah, deported the dog.
Well,
Threw it
let's
on a
tie
cattle
the
car.
Mr. Belvedere. Bob Uecker was on that show, and he was once at WrestleMania. So
There's the segue into wrestling.
The six
Love
branches of
save.
Bob Uecker.
What was his
I
name
just
on the
tagged
show?
out.
What the hell was his name on the show?
Well,
Maybe
They
we
lived
should
in,
talk about
they lived
Raw.
in Pittsburgh, though, didn't they?
That's our trivia question this week for the
It was
pizza.
Beaver Falls.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about Raw because pretty much the ratings. The XFL is now drawing higher ratings than us because we're talking about Mr. Belvedere. But
What the hell you said?
yeah. But there were other things that happened on Raw this week other than Jeff Hardy being buried in his. Wow, look at my neck.
Can I say
His
something?
Career ending. Yes.
I thought the RTC broke up on SmackDown. You know, maybe it's trivial that they were punching each other in the
Are they
face.
still teasing it? or-
No, I mean, that's usually how we end every week.
It broke out in a brawl, and then they come out on this, not even a mention of it. It's like, did the show
Well,
not
no,
air?
They did mention it. No, they had that taped segment. Well, I guess it was taped with Stevie Richards when he said that he was embarrassed that they ended up fighting.
I never saw that.
Yeah, seriously. It was Kevin Keller, Jonathan Coachman interviewed him right before
That's
the
why I
Hard
didn't
title.
see it. The
There you
TV
go.
goes off when those two.
I'm convinced just because they have a video wall and really cool music, the WWF won't give individual music to Bull Buchanan, Godfather, and the other guy, Val Venus.
That's his name.
That's why they keep them together. They don't want to do that
Just
extra
even on the
work.
RTC for a second. Apparently, at an indie show somewhere, Goodfather became the Godfather.
That wasn't
again.
an independent
Now,
show.
does he
It was
go into a
WWE.
phone booth
Oh, was
to
it?
do
Okay,
that?
maybe it was a dark match, whatever. Yeah, he has a cape and everything. But apparently, he got pretty good pop for being the Godfather,
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Pat
That's
Patterson
where the
come
money lies when the RTC all switch back to their old gimmicks. You know, Bull Buchanan dressed like the big boss man again. If that doesn't
the
scream
crowd.
money, I don't know what does.
You like him.
The house will come down.
I have a nightstick. I don't know where that came from.
There were other things that happened. There was a nice 11, 12-minute stretch on Raw. It started with Chris Jericho against Kurt Angle, and then it spilled into William Regal versus Chris, the man with the bright purple pants, Benoit.
Those are his baby face pants.
Oh my gosh, what the hell?
I didn't
They
make
bubble
I
letters.
didn't say you did. Yeah, bubble letters. Right?
I'm just gonna switch into my internet whining mode here for a second.
Those were like
Chris-
sour tart purple. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna mock the internet people. Man, Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho, they're never going anywhere. They should just release them. Of course, there's nowhere to go.
They're kind of like, I summarized it on the Raw report this week. They're sort of like, they're not the main eventers, but they're not really mid-card.
Well,
It's like
They're not ready for main event team. How about that?
it's-
We talked about this earlier. I mean,
They're like Lando Calrissian.
if Regal and Angle get moved in,
What the hell?
I just gotta stop for a second. You threw me. in.
Ric Flair, please start a promotion.
No, seriously. Let's
say
assume
something. I don't-
theoretically the Hardys are gonna get pulled out of this feud with Austin and Triple H. Now you got Regal and Angle. Let's say they get moved up. You got a perfect position for Jericho and Benoit, the team with Undertaker and Kane, four-way or whatever's going on, and there's their elevation. Pretty much the same thing you did with the Hardys.
Did you get all that? Hold on.
Write that down.
It made sense. I know what you're saying. I agree.
Just for all those people out there whining that these guys aren't going anywhere.
We really don't have anything to talk about. This is amazing.
Hey, how about that Big Show?
With the figure?
Oh man. You know,
Do you
There's
think
a
the
guy-
acolytes? Do you think the acolytes were shooting on him?
I hope so. They should do it every week. They had to just send Bradshaw out there to light him up. You know, and it's funny because Jim and I talked during the show last night, and I said Jim had not.
You guys aren't allowed to talk during the show.
I know. Well, Jim wasn't even home yet. He called me in his car because he was freaking out over the Penguin game. And so I said, you know, Big Show just did the most noteworthy thing in the history of his WWF career. He just used a racial slur on WWF TV and got away with it.
I must have missed that. I mean, don't tell me what he said, obviously, but
Well, he used the
A derogatory term
racial
for,
term for Japanese people.
I never.
I'm sure you heard the doctor
making
use
that
it
up?
on the
No,
old
I swear
PWX
not.
television show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I swear I didn't hear that. Maybe I was asleep though.
No,
because
I
was
just want to
very,
point out something.
Sedated.
Is this Big Show experiment over?
Yeah.
Fire him?
Jim,
What exactly is the experiment?
Anything.
Similar to the Alan
Getting,
Parsons
getting,
project.
getting,
the Paul
anything,
White
getting anything
experiment.
out of him that's noteworthy.
did the black jobber guy outfit not tell you that the Big Show experiment is over?
He's 7'2" and 500 pounds though.
And he
man.
sucks.
Didn't he beat Kai and Tai though?
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
I was gonna say if he
We
took a-
speculated that Kai and Tai might get a win over him, which would
Yeah.
have been the, you know.
After Bradshaw took his head off, we hoped.
But more importantly about that segment was with Brian Christopher, which you posted magnificently, once again, that word, on your website or on the TV review about Brian Christopher. You have to reiterate
He
that.
isn't. What the hell is wrong?
I think I can answer this for you, Brian. See, they said when his father, Jerry Lawler, got fired.
Andre?
Yeah. Yes.
Big Show is still Andre's son, believe it or
That's
not.
right.
Well, when
Even though
Lawler
the
got
boss man-
fired, I guess the WWF told Brian Christopher that don't worry, your job's not in jeopardy. So now he can act like a total idiot.
Oh my God! Did he have an aneurysm or something? It's like it was a minute and a half. It was like for the first time I was happy to see the Big Show break up a segment. It was like, thank God Paul White hits the scene.
It was actually funny though. What did he tell Brian Christopher? Didn't he tell him just to beat it or something?
Yeah, something like that. Oh my God! I can't even be put into words. Jim's gonna do an impression of Brian Christopher next segment.
Oh yeah.
And Billy Gunn was on
that
Raw. He
desperate.
snuck on. We don't know how. I believe he had a broom in his hand.
Yeah, I also noticed the Dean Malenko alarm didn't go off.
Oh my God.
Dean Malenko came out on Raw, and I was like, "Oh my God! Does the WWF upper people know that Dean Malenko has just graced WWF television?"
And you can buy those hats at Saturn Wares right on this show.
I was gonna say it was
Next segment details.
It was approximately 10:23 Eastern Standard Time. Perry Saturn stopped being a man. Just what are they doing with him?
Yeah, we can end it on that.
That's perfect.
We're gonna come back possibly if this might be a half an
That's
hour
about
show.
it.
So this might be just for half an hour. So if we don't come back, you know why. See ya. We have a winner this week. His name is Stephen Vaniel. He's from North Versailles, PA. I'm going to read through the questions just to make sure you can check your answers at home. You know, what was Billy Gunn's gimmick when he was managed by the Honky Tonk Man?
Threw up
He
in
was-
the ring.
Yeah, he was rockabilly, ladies and gentlemen, and he had jet black hair. True or false? Edge is a former Intercontinental Champion. That is true. He defeated Owen Hart. It lasted for a day, which this person actually put. Was it Jared?
Yeah.
Oh, that's different. It's different. That's
Busted.
another question. What was the opening match of SummerSlam '93? Razor Ramon versus Ted DiBiase for all you old school fans.
Barn burner that was.
Yeah, well, you know, I think Teddy hurt his neck in that, and that was about it. But Jericho and Lance Storm were known as the Thrill Seekers, so congratulations, Brian. Tell this magnificent person what he has won.
Well, Steve, you win from Pizza Works, one large pie with one topping. You order, chicken wings and carbonated beverage. You can redeem that at any of the three Pizza Works outlets. That is in Dravosburg, Finleyville, and Jefferson Hills.
Good job, man.
the
This
cue
week's
card.
question, once again, you have to answer the three on the website and this one here. Here's this week's question. When Big Van Vader was in WCW, for a time he was only known as Vader. What was the reason for that? We'll give you a hint. It has to do with that big monster helmet he used to wear. Once again, when Big Van Vader was in WCW, he was known as Vader for a long time actually. What was the reasoning behind that? Got to answer that, got to answer the three on the website, and win that pizza.
And the wings.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Viewer mail time.
Let's not downplay the viewer mail.
Yeah, it's
These
very
people go to all
important.
these
You're right.
We appreciate
somewhat
it.
trouble.
Actually, I'm going to beg you to write us because we do have nothing to talk about. It's Pro Wrestling Review at lycos.com. You can reach it through the website.
That's twice now you begged in the last 5 seconds.
Please, God, write to us.
We're now accepting novels.
It's true.
Rennie, can I have change for a 5?
Here we go. This first letter has to.
They write this
Why
stuff
does this
for
always
me.
happen when I'm talking?
They write this stuff for me. I don't come up with this
Sam.
crap.
Yeah. Those damn researchers. This first letter has to do with CWF, Championship Wrestling Federation out of Menneson. What are the thoughts on the March Madness show? It wasn't on the website. I apologize for that. I was actually at the show. I don't want to go into great detail because this really isn't a place to do it, but I wasn't real impressed. Two problems I saw is, number one, when you have 57 run-ins, every other match kind of takes away from it. And number two, right now, a lot of locals don't have a place to train every day. I think even they will admit their product is better when they do that. I think you're seeing the effects of it only doing shows and not having a chance to practice. But like I said, CWF seems to be one show on, one show off. So, like I said, I wasn't real impressed with March Madness. I throw the ball to you.
Yeah, well, I'm going to drop it. Okay, we have a letter here from Kay Golick. I think it's Kyle. He's a trivia alumnus. He's won some pizza and pop and stuff. He goes through some of the stuff that, about WrestleMania, since we were too lazy to read it like 4 weeks ago when it actually would have meant something. I'm just going to go ahead and do his question down below. Who was the first WWF superstar to win the WWF Triple Crown? We decided that it was Bret Hart. Well,
Yeah.
we really did decide.
We declare.
And then the other one is the same answer for the next question. Who was the only wrestler to win the WWF and WCW Triple Crowns was also Bret Hart. So great job, Bret. You don't work anymore.
Yeah.
And the next letter talks about a little bit about Chuck Palumbo, and he asked whether or not we think that Chuck Palumbo has improved. Obviously, not wrestling at the time being, but his last few weeks in WCW, I think you could notice a definite improvement.
He was getting better. Yeah, it needs
I'd say-
sorry, Tom.
Oh, no, good. Finish.
I just say he needs a little bit more mic time. I think that's where he really.
When he wrestled,
dull
he
the
seemed
hair down.
genuinely excited to be wrestling, unlike
Yeah.
Stasiak, his partner.
It seems like
Well,
his
not at the time.
personality has changed a lot from when he first got started. Got pushed way too soon at something big, and he wasn't ready for it. I mean, granted, it's improved from totally awful to average, if you don't even go that.
Oh, that's
that
still
much
good
further.
enough.
He's been retained.
Yeah, I mean, it's still improvement, exactly.
He's been
Exactly.
retained by the WWF CW, whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah, as long as he keeps a good attitude about him, I mean, maybe there's some potential there.
For what it's worth, he did get a couple wins over Lex Luger, but you know,
Brian has wins over Lex Luger.
Yes.
that's true.
Go on.
One thing I
Just
want to
one.
read from this
Keenan.
from this email, and I think you guys would appreciate it. The last line of it. Well, let me find it first. I also like how you deal with the jackasses that write to you guys and say the most moronic things. If they would listen to what you actually say, they would realize how retarded they actually kind of sound. Oh my God, a wise one.
Mentally handicapped, we like to go.
Somebody
the
gets it.
correct
It's just
environment.
not us.
Somebody understands something.
We got two quick letters. This is, well, unsigned, but they enjoyed the pre-production meeting we had a few weeks ago, which,
We just now found out that aired, though. So
yeah. But, yeah, we had some problems. Mr. Blotzer, the production manager, who since has been arrested on
Oh, screw him.
possession of drug paraphernalia charges. He will not be back for a while.
he gave us the finger, you know.
Yeah, screw him. He won't be back. We're a little ashamed of Mr. Blotzer, and we hope he cleans up his act and his gambling problem.
He'll be on the True Hollywood story, I believe, next week.
And his drinking problem. But there's another one from Wrestle Doctor who posts quite frequently on our message boards on the on our ProWrestlingReview.com website. God. Anyway, he talks about how he's been a fan for a while. He says he personally loves the show. He's been a wrestling fan since he can remember back in the days of Hulk Mandy, the Iron Sheik, Don Morocco, and all that. Let me just talk about Don Morocco for a few minutes. Before they turned him into the
We have
Rock.
that quiet music playing in the background,
Yeah.
like.
Before they peed all over Don Morocco by making him the Rock Don Morocco, putting him with superstar Billy Graham. Actually, back in the day, like early 80s, he was actually a pretty decent wrestler. You know, he was the Intercontinental Champion a couple of times. Had some pretty good feuds with, well, first with Pedro Morales and then with Tito Santana.
Pretty
Dino
strong heels, I
Bravo.
recall.
What's that?
Pretty strong
Oh,
heels,
yeah,
I
real
recall.
strong,
I think he put Pedro out with a pile driver for a
Yeah,
while.
and he and Bob Backlund had some really good. Actually, probably his best feud was Snuka. Him and Jimmy Snuka had a great feud, and then he had some good stuff with Bob Backlund. So
Dino Bravo.
Why in God's
Dino
name it
Bravo.
wasn't Hogan Morocco at WrestleMania 2, and we saw Bundy and Hogan?
would have been a better match.
Yeah.
Oh well.
They both would have bled like stuffed pigs, unlike Bundy, who cut himself 2 minutes before that match actually started.
Yeah.
Under the arm. That was
Elvira
strange.
Bust.
Did I say cut? I mean fell.
Yeah.
Fell on his way to the ring. Anyway, this is from basically a month ago. We apologize. We're lazy. This is from Jason Burke.
We were
what's
waiting
up?
for WCW to close.
Exactly.
We had to sign
we
final
had, you know,
paperwork.
we were influential in that, and ECW's demise. So Jason Burke, what's up, PWR? Real wrestling fans, thank you for entertaining us. Basically, the gist of this letter, Taz needs definitely pushed as an announcer. I mean, I'm sorry, as a wrestler. I'm so used to saying
Oh,
that.
yeah, that was a Freudian slip there.
Screw Freud. Fraud. Raven needs pushed besides in the hardcore division, which I hope the WWF is, you know, evidence last night that they're actually going to start pushing him possibly as a face. He has money there. WCW, which the company doesn't exist anymore, needs to push the right guys like Conan, Hugh Morris, Storm. Hopefully the WWF will
That's
push
why they're out
them.
of business.
Well, not because of Conan.
No, I
he
mean,
was
because they didn't push those
He was
guys.
preoccupied with killing potatoes and tossing salads. Anyway, he hates Phil Mushnick. Wants to get him fired. Believe us. I said it again. I don't want to say his
That's
name.
all right.
Hates PM Dawn. Wants to get him fired. Please keep those letters going to the Post. I want him to be burning rats for heat. In a couple months. But WWF light heavyweight division push guys like Rios, Malenko, all good ideas. Too bad the WWF doesn't do that. God knows why. They're more preoccupied with the Titantron. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And pushing guys like Dean Malenko.
Did you notice Raven had a Raven T-shirt on?
I
Monday
did
night?
see that.
Did he make that himself?
I don't know.
You probably had to.
Where's the Michael Cole? I'm sorry, I'm going off.
Don't say Michael Cole.
Where's the Michael Cole gear?
Don't say Michael Cole.
Taz got like 5 T-shirts and a jacket and a football and a
he doesn't
hockey helmet.
wrestle.
He doesn't wrestle.
Real quick, I just want to throw this letter out here. I'm writing this letter to ask you if there's any hope of ECW staying. Nope. Sorry.
Yeah, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
But
He
surprisingly
skipped over the
enough,
first 10 chapters and just
Yeah.
went right to 11.
Tommy Dreamer was found behind the
Wendy's.
courthouse with a bag of Popeye chicken.
why don't we have any Popeyes in this area?
We're getting one. Well, I can't talk about this now.
It's a scoop.
Yeah, I
didn't
can't
say anything,
talk about
ixnay.
this here, but I can talk about it on the hotline.
But to ECW's credit, even though they are out of business, they just recently released 2 new DVDs and a CD. So go get those. It's a little plug. I feel
Well,
bad for 'em.
I think on that note, I think we should go.
Buy it now.
It's Pro Wrestling Review at
.com.
Lycos.com. Write us letters. We need material. Thank you.
It's 1-800 Mean Gene Burn in Hell. Please call it now. Man, this is artistically bad, is what I think it is.
Just say bye.
I'll see it. Come back. We'll see it. Welcome Betty brings you this week's top story in wrestling news from around the world and across your street in a nutshell.
And boner of the week, basically, I think I'm allowed to say that. It was a character on Growing Pains. The Road Dogg. I
Who went to
posted
the
this.
military? Went to the military. What the hell was that all about?
Then he came
I'm
back
sure he
as
played-
Richard.
Yeah.
You know
was
that that's the son of the guy that was on Star Trek.
Oh, here we go.
That blind guy.
No,
Jordy?
Chekhov.
Blind
God.
Chekhov.
Oh,
The Russian guy.
was he a doctor?
No, he was. He pushed buttons.
Watch
He was a
Star
school
Trek.
teacher, I think.
It's far-fetched. The plot lines are gay. Anyway,
You know, we're going from the we got banter to we got tangents.
we got nothing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway,
Top
as I
story.
posted on my
got
website, or on
nothing.
my section of the website, the Road Dogg, over the past week, I believe, by the time you see this, posted 2 hours of his time on eBay for a whopping, I don't know what the bidding started out as, but I believe it closed around somewhere $4,500 or $5,000. What are you people doing? And I don't mean to say this to our fans because I know our fans would not bid on it. I'd bid on it if it was like $6, and then have them clean my pool and stuff like that, rotate the tires, siphon gasoline, shit, stuff like that. That was close. That was close. But why would anybody bid? Why would anybody waste their money, waste their time with him?
I don't know.
I think Kevin Nash won the bidding.
Eric Bischoff beat him. I got him. I got him. I'd pin him in my backyard. That would be the excuse to have a backyard, like beat someone over the head with a halogen light bulb. But I don't endorse that. We don't.
What
endorse that.
happened to Road? What happened to the Outlaws?
Well,
what
their
happened to-
time came and
Well,
went.
see, they got more TV time, and you realize how talentless they were.
Is that what that was?
I think so.
Remember when Road Dogg had the Intercontinental title?
Oh God.
Truly a dark day. Sunday, Bloody Sunday. I believe it was a Thursday, though. So mediocre Thursday, mediocre. Anyway,
What about Worthless Wednesday or whatever?
that's one of my favorites.
Wow.
Tedious Tuesday. Tedious.
Wow.
Do we actually have anything to talk about?
Hey, the
Yeah, I talked
XFL.
about news.
The final XFL game, probably ever, is going
For
to
all
be.
10 of you out there that have been with it all
Hey,
season.
John Avery, future Steeler.
If you flip us in the picture-in-a-picture, you can watch the XFL championship game right now. It's San Francisco against LA.
Quick,
Why
Brian,
would they
do
wanna
some
do that,
commentary.
I can't.
And
You know what? I'm going to say this. I watched the playoffs last weekend. I've watched the NFL playoffs. The XFL playoffs are comparable. That is the honest to God truth. And, you know,
There has been some decent games. There's been also what the WWF is looking for and what we said at the beginning of the season. There's been some personality breakouts
Yeah.
also.
that's because they're fixed. I know.
I mean, you got John Avery. I mean, Tommy Maddox. Where did he come from to become a star?
I'll say this right now. 3 players from the XFL. John Avery will make an NFL squad. He won't just go to a training camp. He will make a team. Jeff Brom's going to get another look. And he was a starter for San Francisco a couple years ago when Steve Young went down. And you have Actually, yeah, Tommy Maddox.
It's like
Dan Reeves is still in Atlanta. Tommy Maddox has a job.
Tommy Maddox showed more heart this XFL season than you ever think possible, and you ever saw from him. So hopefully the XFL sticks around and you have more stories like this.
Let's bring up something else. Tony Schiavone is working with the Atlanta Braves now, and I just think that's kind of funny. Like in the 6th inning when he says fans were out of time, and
David Crockett.
The game's not going to end. Just
oh my God, he got beamed. That's not in the script.
Yeah.
Well, that was Hudson, who hopefully is like changing oil at Walmart as we speak, but I doubt that.
It could also be one of those things that's like, they're playing in Turner Field, it's bottom of the 9th, the Braves are down by 1, and the 3rd out. And
you're not going to tell me Sting's coming down from the
David Crockett starts
helicopter
screaming, "No, God, call Bud Selig, get 2 more innings. I swear to God, they can score 3 more runs." But actually, yeah,
the
but
good old days.
Schiavone's actually doing a call-in show or something like that, I think. The original reports he was doing play-by-play, but now he's just gonna.
I guess he would be one of those guys that would fall under the Time Warner banner, that he actually signs with Time Warner and not WCW.
So we can assume he's
just for all you Tony Schiavone fans out there.
Well, you know what? I'll say that. Well, a local guy here, Mark Madden, had him on a show about a year ago, and they were talking baseball. And Schiavone actually was very knowledgeable. He was on for about a half hour, so it was the best I've ever heard from Tony Schiavone.
I remember.
I'll buy that.
It was
Yeah,
one of the
seriously,
nitros. It was one of the weeks Nitro was unopposed before or after.
Yeah.
Schiavone did something to the effect of, the last time we went unopposed, we put on a horrible product.
Yeah. Schiavone was
Where's
great.
that been?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll tell you what.
That 30 minutes just proved maybe Schiavone's not a complete idiot. Maybe it's a script writer.
As far as his wrestling announcing goes, when he's excited, he is decent. He's listenable.
Yeah.
Perfect example, Flair Vader Starrcade 93. He was genuinely excited. He probably didn't know the finish of the match because it was Flair's quote-unquote retirement match. I love that match. I love listening to the commentary. Jesse ruined it, but hey.
Well, can we assume then by him taking this job or having this job that he's not going to get an offer from the WWF?
I don't think he will. I think he's got a little too much heat. With Jim Ross.
Real quick before we go,
Who doesn't have heat with Ross?
let's bring up our last news from around the world. Our favorite wrestler of all time, Balls Mahoney, was banned from the state of Maryland. Oh boy, the state of Maryland. You know more about it than I would. I don't follow his career, not since '95.
Yeah, the Maryland Athletic Commission basically said this guy is awful and he will never make it to the Big Two. So just stop.
What, the shorts he wears are awful?
You mean
or
the big 1.5?
Yeah, there's something against the Maryland Athletic Commission. There's something against blading, and I guess they believed during his match with Rob Van Dam he bladed, and the match was supposed to stop right whenever blood was drawn, and they went another 10 minutes because Balls was drunk.
I'm ashamed for Maryland to be in the Union. I can't believe it.
But they banned Balls Mahoney.
I know
How
it's
bad a
the
move is
Mason Dixon
that?
line or whatever that line's called. What?
I said they banned Balls Mahoney. How bad a move is that?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they ban him when he was Santa Claus? We wouldn't have to ever hear the name Balls Mahoney. That would
Whoa, Maryland. All right, well, we're going to go. We're going to come back with our rant segment, which should be our first cohesive and sensible segment of the night. So, we'll be back.
Of a show, I guess you can call it. I'm going to talk to you about a television show I watched the night before this taping, late night show. This show had several things. First of all, it had beautiful women, scantily clad women. Another thing, it had a lot of sexual innuendo in its content, had a lot of vulgar language. Even in this particular episode, it had a gay storyline. Now, you're probably thinking, well, this is either maybe something WWF Extreme, and certainly it's a possibility WWF has had featured several of those things, but it's not. It was actually Son of the Beach. Now, you can make a case that both shows have all these qualities I just mentioned. Now, my problem is, a lot of the mainstream media is praising Son of the Beach up and down, while at the same breath criticizing the hell out of the WWF. To me, that sounds a lot like hypocrisy. And Tom, could you make a hippo sound one time?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jim. I'm just not in a hippo kind of mood.
That's okay. Now, Son of the Beach, I don't particularly like the show. I turned it off. That's a lesson to be learned. The other lesson to be learned here, shows are only offensive if you let them be. So take that for what it's worth. And like I said, once again, if you don't like the WWF, Son of the Beach, or anything else, turn the channel.
I'm touched.
Shows are only offensive.
It would have been perfect if I had a hippo.
We can't cart one into the studio. And how would we get it to talk?
It's my time. No. I'm going to talk a little bit about X Factor. Besides having the most god-awful music since The Rock's Key Lime Pie song, they're also missing a few other things. One of the things, and we brought this up last week, is the fact that their feud with the Dudley Boys would have meant so much more had the Dudley Boys actually had the tag team titles. I mean, that's just common sense. The other thing that they're really missing is they don't get much interview time. I think when they were first put together, they had an interview on Sunday Night Heat. X-Pac's interviews are like a runaway gasoline truck. I think Albert, of all the guys, has some untapped raw charisma. I think Aldo Montoya cut more promos than Just Incredible. They're just really not doing anything with him as far as that front's concerned. And it all ties into the last point. They don't really have an established leader. Once again, X-Pac, I mean, they've tried so many times with DX to make him like the leader of the group, or the guy that everybody hangs on to, but he's just not that type of guy. Possibly you could throw Shawn Michaels in there, but obviously from what we've heard either on the website or from previous shows, that's really not an option right now. So I think the WWF's really trying to do something with these young guys, and I just think they're going about it all the wrong way.
Speaking of which, well, maybe not necessarily all young guys, but it seems that over the last 6 months or so, WWF, not as a whole, but in some cases, have had the situations where they seem to start and stop and start and stop. And I think one of the guys, actually not one of the guys, some of the guys it's happened with are going to be entering into a feud now, that being Raven and Eddie Guerrero. It seems like the Radicals, it's like for a while they're really excited about them and they get this, not a huge push, but at least they're on Raw a lot and SmackDown a lot. And then all of a sudden it's sort of like, oh, okay, they're not really all that excited anymore. And the same thing with Raven. And granted, Raven hasn't exactly looked inspired every time he's been out there. But I think with Raven, you have so much untapped potential that you never know. I mean, once the guy gets put into a story, maybe now it's going to happen with Eddie Guerrero. He's brought out a lot of great qualities in people, such as Dallas Page in the past. And I'm sure he can do that again, especially not working with a competent worker like Eddie Guerrero. But the same thing with the Radicals. You have two really good workers in Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero, one guy who really knows how to make friends in Perry Saturn. And, I think that there's a situation where you can really start using these guys. I think the best thing, at least as far as I'm concerned, would have been, the Radicals are without a leader right now. And I think it would have been great for them to put Raven as the leader of their group, because you really could have kind of taken the Radicals into a different direction. But now that it appears they're going to keep him as a babyface, let's let this Raven-Eddie Guerrero feud, let's let it blossom. Let these two guys work a nice program. Give them time on Raw and SmackDown. Because they're two guys that if you set them out there and you let them work a program and give them some time to do it, you're going to get quality television, you're going to get good matches, and maybe this would be a case where both of these guys can move up a little further than they are right now. Tom?
I have nothing to say.
All right.
Anyway, this past Sunday, I had the privilege of watching Sunday Night Heat. When Sunday Night Heat first started on MTV, it was different. They still are from WWF New York. It had kind of a, live atmosphere to it, obviously. I think it is live. I don't know. But the first show, I believe, featured Disturbed performing Austin's music, and Disturbed's not a bad band. Okay. Save all comments till the end. Yeah. I know you love Disturbed. Right. But in recent weeks, Sunday Night Heat is god-awful. Take this past week, for instance. Albert, I'm going to call him Prince Albert just for the hell of it, was running around backstage, I believe, looking for the Backstreet Dudley Boys. Why? Why can't you feature more wrestling on Sunday Night Heat? And then he finally did get him. I believe he put the one through a table and the other one was too busy eating his chicken wings to give a damn. And 2 weeks ago, I believe, maybe 3 weeks ago, Raven was on. And Raven's going to host Sunday Night Heat. It's not like hosting Saturday Night Live, the movie She's Having a Baby on TBS, but hey, it's still a gig. Raven spent more time chasing that fat ass whatever George around in the background, sticking his head in toilets, putting his face in deep fryers, and didn't actually say anything. Granted, Raven could have showcased some of his talent, some of his little intellect. He does have kind of like a dry sense of humor, I believe. We didn't see any of that. We saw more from the sweatband guy from the Stacker 2 commercial than we did see a Raven. My plea, before I go, the announcers on Sunday Night Heat, Michael Cole and Taz. Taz is not an announcer. Michael Cole deserves to be working at Target, stalking the shelves with that little gun they have. The point of the matter is, you want to get serious about Sunday Night Heat, more wrestling. Randy, you're ruining it. Get serious about Sunday Night Heat. I can't finish.
Okay, Randy.
More wrestling, 2 different commentators, and Go ahead.
Michael Cole, forget it. Go ahead. Randy, what are you talking about?
I'm going to be talking about Michael Cole working at Target. No, if you want to read my column, you can pick it up.
You couldn't do that right, Randy.
You're right. You can pick it up on the newsstands tomorrow, or you can read it on the web. It's www.triblive.com/sports.
I can just see him dancing around to beautiful people, like that Devo song in the latest Target commercials. It'd be tremendous.
You know the sad part? I go up to Cole and ask him for new figures, more Jack's figures. We don't have any, kid. Get away. I can't be bothered. Just got my hair dyed. Go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
All right. My column is Sharpshooter. It appears in the Daily News. Pick it up newsstands right now, or you can check it out on the internet at www.dailynewsmckeysport.com.
Once again, if you want to enter the trivia contest, it's prowrestlingreview.com. Click on trivia. You got to answer those 3 questions. And here's the question again from this week's show. When Big Van Vader was in WCW, he was known for a time only as Vader. What was the reason for that? And again, the hint is remember the big helmet he had? That had something to do with it.
It wasn't because he was dating Harley Race.
Might be.
Don't you dare say
And
another
don't
bad
forget,
word about
email
Harley Race.
prowrestlingreview@lycos.com. Send us some email. Please, God, we need it.
And check out the website, as always, at the bottom of the screen. Check out our individual web pages. I'll update it. I might change the question. I know, well, we all will. There's nothing to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about the show. But anyway, with that and a grain of salt, I am Tom as always. You're Brian, he's Rennie, and he's Jim. This is the Pro Wrestling Review. And hopefully, by God, we'll see you next week. Goodbye.